Today is June the 14th. Today we begin Luke's second act. Let's read together in Luke chapter 9. This comes after the mission of the 12, after the transfiguration. In verse 51, when the days drew near for him to be taken up, he set his face to go to Jerusalem. He sent messengers ahead of him. On their way, they entered a village of the Samaritans to prepare for his arrival. But they didn't receive him because his face was set toward Jerusalem. When his disciples James and John saw this, they said, "Lord, do you want us to command fire to come down from heaven and consume them?" But he turned and rebuked them. They went on to another village. So here in this passage, Jesus now begins to announce, "I'm going to Jerusalem." Well, that caused problems with the Samaritans. You see, the Samaritans, ever since the beginning of the northern kingdom, were actually set up to worship in another location. When Israel came back from Babylon and made a temple, they had another temple that they worshiped at, and they weren't going to change. The Samaritans rejected Jesus because he was going to Jerusalem. The Samaritans worshiped on Mount Gerizim. James and John say, should we call fire from heaven? What's he talking about there? Well, he could be talking about Elijah and the prophets of Baal. The winner of that confrontation between Elijah and the prophets of Baal was who could call down fire from heaven. But the fire didn't consume the prophets of Baal. I think instead this is about Korah in the Old Testament. We haven't read the story of Korah. Let's read the story of Korah, whose followers were consumed with fire that came from the Lord.
Numbers 16, New Revised Standard Edition. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, along with Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, son of Reuben, took 250 Israelite men, leaders of the congregation, chosen from the assembly, well-known men, and they confronted Moses. They assembled against Moses and against Aaron and said to them, "You have gone too far. All the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. So why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord?" When Moses heard it, he fell on his face. Then he spoke to Korah and all his congregation, saying, "In the morning the Lord will make known who is his and who is holy, and who will be allowed to approach him. The one whom he will choose, he will allow to approach him. Do this, take censers, Korah and all your congregation, and tomorrow put fire on them, and lay incense on them before the Lord, and the man whom the Lord chooses shall be the Holy One. You Levites have gone too far." Then Moses said to Korah, "Hear now, you Levites, is it too little for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to allow you to approach him in order to perform the duties of the Lord's tabernacle and to stand before the congregation and serve them? He has allowed you to approach him, and all your brother Levites with you, yet you seek the priesthood as well. Therefore you and all your congregation have gathered together against the Lord. What is Aaron that you rail against him?" Moses sent Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab, but they said, "We will not come. Is it too little that you have brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey, to kill us in the wilderness, that you must also lord it over us? It is clear you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, or given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Would you put out the eyes of these men? We will not come." Moses was very angry and said to the Lord, "Pay no attention to their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, and I have not harmed any one of them." And Moses said to Korah, "As for you and all your congregation, be present tomorrow before the Lord, you and they and Aaron. And let each one of you take his censer and put incense on it, and each one of you present his censer before the Lord, 250 censers. You also and Aaron, each his censer. So each man took his censer, and they put fire in the censer and laid incense on them. And they stood at the entrance in front of the tent of meeting with Moses and Aaron. Then Korah assembled the whole congregation against them at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord appeared to the whole congregation. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Separate yourselves from this congregation, so that I may consume them in a moment. They fell on their faces and said, O God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one person sin and you become angry with the whole congregation? And the Lord spoke to Moses, Speak to the congregation, saying, Get away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. So Moses got up and went to Dathan and Abiram. The elders of Israel followed him. He spoke to the congregation, saying, Turn away from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, or you will be swept away for all their sins. So they got away from the dwellings of Korah, Dathan, Abiram, and Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the entrance of their tents, together with their wives, their children, and their little ones. And Moses said, This is how you shall know the Lord has sent me to do all these works. It has not been of my own accord. If these people die a natural death, or if a natural fate comes on them, then the Lord has not sent me. But if the Lord creates something new, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up, with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive to Sheol, then you shall know that these men have despised the Lord. As soon as he finished speaking all these words, the ground under them was split apart. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, along with their households, everyone who belonged to Korah and all their goods. So they, with all that belonged to them, went down alive into Sheol. The earth closed over them, and they perished from the midst of the assembly. All Israel around them fled at their outcry, for they said, The earth will swallow us up too. And fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men offering the incense. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Tell Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, to take a censer out of the blaze, then scatter the fire far and wide. For the censer of these sinners has become holy at the cost of their lives. Make them into hammered plates as a covering for the altar, for they presented them before the Lord and became holy. Thus they shall be assigned to the Israelites. So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censer that had been presented by those who were burned, and they were hammered out as a covering for the altar. A reminder to the Israelites that no outsider who is not of the descendants of Aaron shall approach to offer incense before the Lord, so as to not become like Korah and his congregation, just as the Lord had said to him through Moses. On the next day, however, the whole congregation of the Israelites rebelled against Moses and against Aaron, saying, You have killed the people of the Lord. And when the congregation had assembled against them, Moses and Aaron turned toward the tent of meeting. The cloud had covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron came to the front of the tent of meeting. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Get away from this congregation, so that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell on their faces. Moses said to Aaron, Take your censer, put fire on it from the altar, and lay incense on it, and carry it quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them. For wrath has gone out from the Lord, the purge has begun. So Aaron took it as Moses had ordered, and ran into the middle of the assembly, where the purge had already begun among the people. He put it on the incense and made atonement for the people. He stood before the dead and the living, and the purge was stopped. Those who died by plague were 14,700, beside those who died in the affair of Korah. When the plague was stopped, Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent of meeting.
So Korah, it's interesting. He followed the Lord, but he didn't his own way. He said, I don't accept you, Moses. I don't accept Aaron and Miriam as leaders. The Lord has called us out of Egypt too. We should be in charge of what's going on. Korah followed the Lord, but he did it in his own way. Just as the Samaritans said they followed the Lord, but they wanted to do it in their own way. The Lord says, no, I'll make the rules around here. I'll be the one to tell you how to follow. So what do we do about this today? Well, check yourself. Make sure that you're not following God in your own way. Make sure that your allegiance to the Lord, your discipleship, your following of God is in His way, not your way. Scripture reading from the New Revised Standard Version by Emily Herrera. Do you live in the Greenwood, Indiana area, and are you looking for a church? We'd love to have you come visit New Hope Church. We're at 5307 West Fairview Road. Our Sunday morning service begins at 10 a.m. I'd love to see you there.